Hello and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the day's top stories. A late rebound helps Indian equities end in the green after highly volatile session. Sensex gains 257 points. Nifty holds above 17,550, led by metals. IT stocks drag. Global crude oil prices inch higher as supply concerns resurface to overshadow demand worries. Saudi Arabia floats the idea of output cut by OPEC Plus to support prices. Traders fear a drop in US crude inventory. Apple planning for Made in India iPhone 14 by Diwali 2022. Reports suggest that the company is shifting the iPhone 14's manufacturing from China amid lockdown fear and ongoing geopolitical tensions between the US and China. And as the debate over moonlighting heats up, we'll get you a power-packed panel on what moonlighting is and if it in fact is cheating, and is it going to be the trend going forward. The recent comments by Wipro top boss Rishad Premji over moonlighting have taken the IT world by storm. While he has termed it cheating, many in the IT sector believe otherwise. With the extensive adoption of work from home post-pandemic, moonlighting has become a reality in today's workforce. And food delivery platform Swiggy has gone ahead and embraced what seems to be the order of the day. But can this become a trend for a chunk of India Inc., where employees are made to sign onerous non-compete policies, let alone being allowed to take parallel jobs? We are now joined by a stellar panel: Mohandas Pai, Chairman, Arin Capital Partners; Ashish Sanganeria, Senior Partner, Transsearch; Bhagyashree Pancholi, General Counsel at Lano GmbH. Thanks so much, all of you, for joining us. Let me start off with you, Mr. Pai. Is it purely, a debate coming or arising from angst that these employees are being trained specifically, by a company that's investing in them, or that we're seeing a very high rate of attrition? Is that what sparked that comment, by Rishad, or is there more to it?
No, I think the surprise element to know that a lot of people are doing moonlighting is what is scared of the shock, in my opinion. I mean, I've been talking about it for long, saying that quite possibly is happening, and that's one of the reasons for the reluctance of employees to come back to office. Because the employee point of view, you stay in the house, you got technology, you work, and then you don't have to spend time on commute. See, commute is a big problem everywhere, 1 to 4 hours. And then in the office, you laze around, meet and chat and everything, so your whole life is gone, right? Now you're at home and you can be more business-like and make more money. You're making more money. So it's good to make money. But see, Abba, but the big problem in my view is this industry has been exploiting freshers for the last 10 years. They have not increased the compensation from the 3.5 lakhs per year or 3.85 lakhs per year they paid in 2008, 9, 10, etc. They have not paid more till now. They have been exploiting people because there are surplus people in the system. All of them want to join the big companies, build their career, they get good training. They've been exploiting. They're not being fair. During this time, for managers and senior people, the salary has gone up maybe 4x, 5x, 7x. They're not being fair. They're making good profits. And if there's sacrifice to be made, senior people should make the sacrifice. You can't ask junior people to make the sacrifice. Abba, let me give you some data. Let's suppose I come from a tier 2 town, tier 3 town. I'm poor. I borrowed 4-5 lakhs for my education. My parents cannot afford. I get a job. Okay? Now, when I get a job, I have to move from a small town to the big town, right? I have to pay 2,000-3,000 on my commute. I have to pay 5,000-6,000 sitting in a hellhole called a paying guest or whatever it is with no privacy. I spend 3,000-5,000 for my food. I spend 15,000 rupees. And 5,000-6,000 I pay for the EMI. And I'm left with 3,000 or 4,000 rupees sent to my parents. I have to support my parents. What do I do? The pay is too less because I'll get maybe 25,000 rupees in hand after all deductions, right? Yeah. Social security, tax, but no, there's no tax till 5 lakhs. So look, they have not been paying people well at the fresher, maybe 1 to 5 year level. They must pay people more. That is the first thing they must do, irrespective of all this moonlighting stuff. Second, they must clearly understand during my free time I can do what I want. Maybe put in a disclosure requirement where I disclose without giving further details. I'm working 3-4 hours, but not on your time. Okay? And I have to make sure the employee, I adhere by the confidential agreement. I don't work for the same clients and all the small things that they have. I should do that because it's part of business. But I think it's time to relook at the entire thing.
So this entire moonlighting phenomenon then, Ashish, let me get your take. Is it really something new, as Mr. Pai said? Is it something that has surprised or come as a surprise to IT companies? Is this really not something they were aware of before?
So one, I think it's not a new phenomena at all in IT industry, specifically in these services, where the compensation, if you compare to any other product organization or new age digital organization, the parity between the compensation is huge. And that's one of the reasons which I see where the talents see that they can make extra money. It is not conflicting and it's easy to hide. In most of the other categories, it's not easy to hide.
Yeah.
In technology, it is that you can work in the night, deliver the project. So it's been happening, I think. There is nothing which is new right now. Might have increased because of work from home. So people can kind of do a 4-5 hours job, complete the work in 5 hours, wrap it up and do the personal thing or the side gig.
Okay, and would you call it cheating then in that case?
From a candidate perspective, I don't think so it's cheating. Yes, until I'm doing a conflicting, doing something with a competition, doing and revealing any information. But if I'm doing some product development which doesn't conflict from my regular day job, it's not cheating. But as I said, there is a gray area here. Depends on what kind of work I'm doing and whether I'm doing my day job, which gives me my bread and butter. Is it I'm doing that job properly and fulfilling my duties? I think it's a question to answer and very, very difficult to answer.
All right. Bhagyashree, let me come to you. Is moonlighting a legal phenomenon? Is there, really something that is untenable about it? Is it okay as long as it's a mention in company policies? What's the legal approach here?
Thank you, Abba, for the question. So there is no overarching law which explicitly prohibits a person from doing multiple jobs. However, similar jobs, like Mr. Pai explained, may breach confidentiality policies of the company, definitely can violate the company policies. If the employment contract has any clause that specially prohibits an employee from moonlighting or taking up secondary employment, then it definitely violates that as well. The Indian Factories Act does restrict double employment, but many of the IT workers may not be covered under this act in many states. The reasoning behind is that the full-time employment that we are talking about, employees tend to restrict because an employee is expected and required to spend the working time, energy, and the efforts for the benefit of employer or for employer's interest. And in light of this reasoning, many companies in India have actively prohibited moonlighting. I would like to also mention here that moonlighting is generally a very ambiguous concept. Many a times it is taken up as secondary employment. However, it could also be a contractual role. In that case, a company needs to distinguish between the two, what is allowed and what is not, whether secondary employment or dual employment is prohibited, or is it allowed unless there is no conflict of interest between the two companies where the person is supposed to work, or they can have one full-time employment and contractual employment or contractor roles are allowed. So this is a very big gray area where companies' policies actually govern and in the lack of any act that India doesn't have so far.
Okay, so Mr. Pai, do you feel that perhaps company policies haven't fully encapsulated some of the changing times, given that work from home in particular has caused a lot of change in employee behavior?
No, look, you can raise salaries. I would like them to pay a fresher 4 lakhs in the first year. After 12 months, at least a minimum of 5 to 5.5 lakhs. Okay? And that's not too much. Because today, if you look at their financials, they have 8 to 10% spend on subcontractors. They can cut it down. They can save the money. They've got a 3 to 4% increased revenues because of rupee depreciation. Maybe 1-2% adding to the bottom line. So they have to pay more, and they're paying more. They're paying more. But let me give you the situation. The IT industry hired 5 lakh people last year, freshers. Okay, 5 lakh people. Now, there were 45 lakh people before the year. They grew to 51 lakh people in all. They grew in volumes maybe 12-13% last year. There's a direct correlation between volume and billing because there's no price increase so far. They have to get a pricing increase. Okay? So, India graduates 800,000 engineers. Out of these 500,000 people, maybe 350,000 are engineers. So they are getting all the engineers they want who are employable. For 800,000, maybe 250,000 are not employable.
Okay.
So balance are employable. So they are getting there. And then we have the startup industry which hired 1,50,000 last year. And for them, their strategy was very simple, Abba. And they looked at all the big companies, companies. Anybody who's a top 10% come over after 1 year training, double salary.
Right.
They're paying 18 lakhs for freshers.
Right.
They're fine because they're spending the investors' money. Many of them were under the impression the more money you spend, the valuation goes up, you can raise more money. Now they've been brought down to reality. That's the culture for many of these people because the investors are pouring money down their throat. And then we spend more, we have to burn. And how do you burn? Hire more people than required, pay them double the salary. Who cares? Our salary also goes up. Now they become more realistic, hopefully. So in this situation, they have to pay people more. They have to deal with them better and create more loyalty, point number one. And point number two, look at the future. Abba, this year and next year, industry will hire between 1.4 lakhs to 14 lakhs to 15 lakhs people, including startup, including industry. So you're going to be full up. And please remember, India is the only source of large-scale human capital for technology for the world.
Yes.
When you have 51 lakh people, you grow at 10%, you have to hire 6 lakh people. Why 6 lakh? Because 50,000 will retire. They'll go away, they'll get married, have babies, they'll go away, they'll not come back to work, right? So you've got to fill the breach plus take care of volume growth. So you need 6 lakh people. 6 into 2, 6 plus 7, 13. And startup industry will hire 1-2 lakhs. So 14 to 15 lakh people will be hired. So it is time that you reorient your compensation policy, all your policies, and create a better connect to reduce attrition. And the cost of attrition, Abba, is very high. It is $5,000 per person. Let me give you an example. If somebody leaves, you hire a fresher, you got to train them for 6 months. They're not billable. You got to pay salary for 6 months. You got overhead for 6 months. It's adds up to about maybe 3.5, 4 lakhs. So if you're able to reduce attrition by 20% by paying more compensation, it's worth it. They must do the maths and take the risk.
Okay, so Mr. Pai's view is quite clear there, Bhagyashree, in terms of the companies and what they can do in order to curtail this. But tell me, what do you feel are some of the remedies? I mean, you touched upon it in terms of a policy standpoint, but how do you really see this evolving now in the future? As we just heard, if it comes to this massive amount of hiring and opportunity in this space, how do you see things evolving?
Definitely a good question. So on the contrary, we haven't seen a lot of cases where companies have actively pursued judicial remedies against employees who've been caught moonlighting. However, there have been instances where the Indian courts in the past have approved compliant termination of employees who were caught moonlighting. So it's nothing new. Having said that, some of the remedies would be first checking with the company policy and what disciplinary action can be taken against an employee if caught. So the thing is that they have to actively have the evidence that a certain employee is moonlighting or has a secondary employment or has or is working as a contractor in a company which conflicts the interest of the company. Could be a competitor or could be another company where they are leaking sensitive, confidential information of the company.
Sure.
And when they have this evidence and they can accuse the employee, that they are doing this, then they can definitely go and knock on the doors of the courtroom. Having said that, I would not really say that legal remedy is the best, the most judicious way. Like we are seeing that a lot of IT workers are taking up contractual roles, and like the previous speaker said, they are doing it by the night. So I think what is the most prudent way is to manage the expectations of the employees. Definitely the company's policies need to take into account what the employees want. It shouldn't just be a policy drafted by the employer unanimously. And I'm so sure that when the employees and the employer have an open, honest conversation about secondary employment or contract or moonlighting, I think it would be a better way ahead. Having said that, the companies that recently did allow their employees to moonlight or basically take up secondary roles or employment, there's a fine print to it. So not all of them are permitted. There's no blanket sanction. So it comes with certain ifs and buts, and a lot of people missed out on reading that finer print. And that is, I think, where most of the litigation would lie.
All right, that was a very insightful answer there, Bhagyashree. Thanks for that. Ashish, there has been a lot of pressure on these companies because of the high rate of attrition, of course. And as Mr. Pai was saying, while they have been hiking salaries, he feels that more can be done for the bottom of the pyramid. But what do you feel going forward? Do you think that perhaps companies are curtailed somewhat because of the kind of attrition that's taking place in the industry?
So 2-3 reasons, I think, attrition. One, obviously the demand is high. And moving forward also, I think the overall technology development demand will continue to be high. India is a core among the world, not even in India, but core of the world. And the last couple of years, most of the offline companies, any large offline companies, as building digital. So they also require a lot of digital talent, Tata and Reliance, to name it. Everybody is coming up with their new digital properties, or they need digital intervention to do their traditional business. So demand supply gap is what I see, that the churn is there, and I think if you're smarter and you're upskilling yourself, in last few years, one thing which I also realized, that a services company, people who are doing coding, they're good in their basic logic and algorithms, and they can upgrade themselves and get a better job. Those things are also started happening.
So clearly things seem to be in the employees' favor at this point of time, as we can see from the pushback to that comment, whether it be in terms of demand, opportunity, and clearly, flexibility in terms of having those options. Mr. Pai, anything you'd like to close with as we talk about the future of work for this booming industry?
IT companies are making good money. It's not that they're making less money. They're making good money. And they're paying their senior people very high salaries. You see the kind of salaries they're paying. Why not pay the junior people too? See, Abba, what disappoints me more, and I must say I'm really pained, is this is the industry which put people first, which took care of everybody, gave them great workspaces, gave them stock options, gave them to create a great industry. Over the last 10 years, the idea of looking after people at the bottom of the pyramid is gone. I mean, come on, give me a break. How can you as a senior person take a big hike in salary when you're not paying the junior person more? When you find them struggling on the streets, staying in PGs, in some hellholes, eating less. Come on, you've got to be human, isn't it? The human spirit is what made these companies great. And you've got to treat people like human beings. I'm not saying overpay them. Pay them reasonably well so they keep body and soul together. And treat them like good human beings, not like widgets to be taken and, taken away. See, they have to relook. Look, this industry create a great human culture. That has to continue. You diverse that from that, they become a mercenary organization like many American companies. In American companies, you work for the pay and you go. Somebody pays you more, you walk off, right?
After a 2-day losing streak ending on a positive note amid high volatility, the Sensex ended 257 points higher and the Nifty was up 0.5% at 17,577. M&M, Eicher Motors, Bajaj Finserv, Titan and Tata Steel some of the top Nifty gainers today. The losers included Infosys, TCS, Divi's Labs, HUL and HCL Technologies. The auto industry seems to be in a fix over rising CNG prices, pushed as the green, environment-friendly fuel to replace diesel, particularly in metro cities. The recent hikes in CNG have threatened the planning of car manufacturers who were investing heavily in the technology. The biggest impact is on India's largest car company, Maruti Suzuki.
CNG believers have battled it all. Long serpentine queues at filling stations, uncertainty over the legality of aftermarket CNG kits. But this is one blow which could shake the faith of even the most hardened of believers. CNG prices have risen 62% in the past 18 months in Mumbai. from 49 rupees 40 paise in February last year to 80 rupees per kilogram today. A direct fallout of this relentless price increase in CNG has been a decrease in sales of cars which run on the green fuel. From a record high of 29,535 units in March, CNG car sales have fallen to 25,480 in July, a decrease of 9% over 4 months, the same period in which overall personal vehicle sales jumped 20%. The biggest impact of the falling sales is on Maruti, which enjoys a massive 70% share in the CNG car market. The company has targeted sales of 6 lakh CNG cars this fiscal, a target it is unlikely to meet now. According to reports, CNG cars contribute to around 17% of total Maruti sales. For Hyundai, the figure has slowly crept up to 15%, while for Tata, it is still just around 12%. For the car buyer, the biggest attraction of CNG is the higher mileage it gives compared to both diesel and petrol. It's also a much greener fuel than the two, and its availability has also improved across the country. However, the skyrocketing price threatens to be a deal breaker for the buyer and for the industry. Bureau Report, India Today.
Kumar Mangalam Birla, Chairman, Aditya Birla Group, delivered a keynote address at IIT Bombay's 60th convocation ceremony. He cracked the audience up with his favorite IIT campus joke and sent the whole crowd on a laughter spree. Listen in.
How can I forget the famous campus jokes that I hear from my IIT Bombay alumni friends? My favorite is the one that I heard that goes like this. Late at night, a seemingly lost auto driver on the campus here asks a PhD student, "Bahar jaane ka rasta?" Pat comes a reply, "4 saal se main bhi yahi dhoond raha hoon." Clearly, all of you who are graduating today have had no such difficulty in finding the Bahar jaane ka rasta. An important phase of your life, the graduating class, is behind you. This glorious phase has been defined by 3 hallmark traits: a strong academic record, all-around skills that go beyond the classroom, and the great hunger to succeed. I call this the trinity of records, skills, and great attitude.
Apple's Diwali plans are already in place. The iPhone manufacturer plans to start the production of much-anticipated iPhone 14 in India by October. According to reports, the company plans to start manufacturing in India 2 months after the product's initial release out of China. As per sources, Apple has been working with suppliers to ramp up manufacturing in India and shorten the lag in production of the new iPhone. The company's move to make in India comes amid China imposing lockdowns across the country that have disrupted economic activity. Apple is likely to launch the new iPhone in September, but will the phone be cheaper now that it will be manufactured here? That's the question. That's where we leave it on the show tonight. Thanks so much for watching.